I, like many of us, was taught to grow up dreaming of my wedding, not of my life. And I spent many years dreaming of my wedding.
Preach to the choir.
And also waiting to be chosen. Well, here's the thing. I'm the chooser. And I can choose to get married if I want to, but in the meantime, I am choicefully single, happily, gloriously single.
I did dream of my wedding growing up. And that's not to say that I didn't dream of the bigness of my life. And, you know, as much as grief does surface for me around not having children and not having a partner, I still wouldn't want the wrong partner.
That's a great point for people to hear.
I'm not interested in that. You have to make my life better. It can't just be, you know, I'm in a relationship to be in a relationship. So even though the grief does emerge and that comes and I hold that, I think of what I've done. And I think of, I woke up every morning trying to do my best. I didn't wake up one morning and be like, I'm going to mess this day up.
That's right.
So I must be where I'm supposed to be. And I don't know, sometimes I think of all of the things I've done, the courage that I've had to have and what I've had to learn how to navigate as a single person with no one to hide behind. And it's built a really beautiful experience around me. And I have incredible friends.
Hello, it's me, Danielle Carmelita, your favorite tarot reader and astrologer. Let's break down Tracee Ellis Ross's chart. I'm excited because we actually have a birth time here. She's in the blogs because she said that she is comfortable with being single. Here's one of her famous quotes. When you're single, you have a lot more space, time, and energy to explore yourself. In doing that, you build a tight bond with your authenticity. It can become almost painful not to live as your true self. And she says she grieves not being a mother. She grieves not being a wife. I wanted to break down her chart because she's gone viral. The reason she's gone viral is because, first of all, she is a Taurus rising and Uranus is conjunct her rising sign right now, which is great for her. It's in her first house and it's also Taurus season. So that's bringing attention to her as well. And Uranus does represent social media. So you do have that and podcasts because it is about communication. And also it's about, in the sign Taurus, is about what she values. Now, it was really interesting looking at her chart because she has a lot of strong planets and signs that deal with relationships. I'm talking about personal placements in the 7th house. She has a conjunction in the sign Libra. Wow. If I didn't know anything, I would think, are you married? What is up? Usually when you have the sun in the 7th house, there is a strong theme of relationships. Also aesthetics. That's why she does hair and she's really popular when it comes to her fashion choices and putting that on social media. A strong intense need for partnerships is what I think. Now, this is interesting because Mercury is also in that house and Mercury also puts and it's at 29 degrees. 29 degrees is a great degree. It means it's very powerful. She has a strong talent in discussing things that deal with relationships and aesthetics. Also, even discussing it on social media as well. Now, this is interesting because she could either have been a lawyer. I would have thought lawyer or aesthetics or fashion, but of course she leans into fashion. Now, this isn't a sign Scorpio. This means that things have to be very deep. She does not want a superficial relationship. Also, Mercury does represent youth. So it makes sense that she likes younger men, but she strives for security and power. She craves for depth and intimacy and soul level connections. She doesn't want to have anything that's not deep. She doesn't want to have superficial conversations. And she's really secretive and private about her relationships. And she's very protective about her energy. Also, too, the Scorpio energy when it comes to relationship means a lot of transformation and rebirth. So a lot of relationships probably changed her for the bigger or better or just completely changed her. Emotional trials, solitude, and deep introspection is what you get with this placement in the sign Scorpio in the 7th house. Also, to a lot of therapy when it comes to relationships, because that Scorpio energy does represent that. The 7th house represents not only partnerships and aesthetics, but marriage, even law, even balance and harmony. And does she have court cases? I don't know, but she probably has business partners because that does represent business partners. So usually when you have the sun in the 7th house, it's usually you cannot really have a true identity of self if you don't have a relationship. So that's really interesting that she has a sense of herself more than a sense of a relationship for herself. And she does have a Taurus rising, so that could be more of the sense of her self-worth. Now, she does also too, this is where the sun is not really sitting regular, right? It's because she has the sun in Scorpio and it's squaring her midheaven in Aquarius. So I think her long-term goals and her career really interferes with how she feels about relationships. Scorpio energy is obsessed with power and having control, and then you have it squaring her career, and her career is also in the sign Aquarius. Career path is unconventional. It's not normal. She wants to disrupt the system. When she's on a platform, she wants people to know that she's different, she's forward thinking, she's thinking about the people who are less fortunate. Fear of selling out or losing herself, difficulty in finding someone who is forward thinking and non-traditional. That's why she wants someone younger. It does make sense. She's really not compatible with that fake dating that some people do, celebrities do. So I like that she's true to herself. I do have to say that I am biased because I am happily married and I love kids. I'm a Cancer. I love my kids. I love being a mom. I do wish that for everyone, but not everyone is meant to have that lifestyle. So her identity, her ego, her core purpose, which is that sun in Scorpio, is very intense and private and emotional, right? And there's power and there's depth. Now, when it's squaring her public image, that MC, that midheaven, when it's squaring that midheaven and her career and her reputation, relationships don't work with that. She's like, no, relationships don't work with me getting my job done and me thinking outside of the box and me having my independence. I have to be original, and how can I be original if I'm stuck in a relationship? Tension between her private self and her public image. It's really funny because she has that MC in Aquarius, and that MC Aquarius doesn't want to seem emotionally attached to anything, but that Scorpio is very intense and is emotional, so she's trying to make it seem like she's aloof with some of these things, but she's really deep. There's a misrepresentation of how she really feels secretly behind closed doors in regards to her relationship. Things that align with her professional life does not really align with her true core values or her core truth. Now, she also has a Mercury in Scorpio, and that 7th house is at 29 degrees. 29 degrees is a blessing, right? So you are naturally talented in whatever the 29 degrees is, and she has it in the thought of communication and being secretive. So she can really be secretive and think about power, and it's very natural for her. She's probably a really good matchmaker, are really good with partnerships and communicating in partnerships, even though she is single. This is the energy of back and forth, right? So Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, and Gemini doesn't want to commit. So if you have it in Scorpio, maybe she doesn't want to commit, and she really knows that, and she probably knew that for a long time, and she doesn't want to commit because she wants her freedom, and she likes to have options because that Mercury loves to have options. That Mercury likes variety. They're calculated. They could be a little insincere and unfaithful. Also, to that Mercury in Scorpio is conjunct her descendant. So again, intense probing conversations, private when it comes to a lot of conversations, and very transformative, therapeutic, a lot of therapy in regards to relationships. I think she's done a lot of therapy in regards to relationship. Distrust of shallow or surface level conversation. She really likes to have deep conversations. I would love to have a conversation with Tracee Ellis Ross. That Scorpio moon loves that. Because it's at 29 degrees, she has a hyper awareness of relationships, discussing it and having intense conversations regarding that. Now, again, because we were talking about Tracee Ellis Ross and her relationship, we want to look at the ruler of that 7th house, and the ruler of that 7th house is, well, it's in the sign Scorpio, so the ruler is Mars, and Mars is in the sign Libra. Again, more discussions of relationships is really big with her. Aesthetics, law, harmony, balance, partnership. Mars is in her 6th house, and it's all about work. Again, relationships with work. And then also too, it's sitting in its conjunct Uranus. I think this is someone who totally needs their freedom. Mars being a ruler of that 7th house and its conjunct Uranus, she needs her freedom. She is Mars in Libra, thinks first, weighs options, hesitates, and tries to keep the peace. She probably is a little passive aggressive when she's trying to achieve things, or maybe she does it with the name of the partnerships and let the partner really do the dirty work when it comes to work or trying to achieve some stuff. But very charming. That Mars conjunct Uranus means that she wants some freedom again in her relationships. She does like the relationships. She likes the partnerships. However, it has to be ultimate freedom, or it has to be something different or something that's very out of the box. Emotional balance is really big for her. This placement also to really discuss why she does a lot of social media, because Uranus does represent an influencer. In Libra is all about aesthetics, and that Mars conjunct that Libra, her pursuing things and getting things done is all through social media, and she does it probably probably on a daily. She probably really works on her social media or whatever it is that is on a broader scale of communication. She probably works on that daily. But that Mars in Libra would try to really pursue relationships and partnerships. And in the podcast, she did say she had a dinner with Michelle Obama and President Obama, and they were having a discussion about relationships. I think she talks about it a lot, more than the average person. But that Uranus would make me think, too, that she probably falls in love quickly. Even though I do think there is some hesitancy as far as commitment, but I think she probably is aggressive really fast. And it's probably like, people are probably unexpectedly shocked when she's trying to talk to someone. She is probably the one pursuing the guy. Quick attraction followed by quick disillusionment, feeling trapped easily, struggles with compromise. She could be attracted to partners unexpectedly. Now, 2 more aspects I want to look at really quickly is that she has a moon in Leo. That makes sense. An actress. She's really here for it. And that moon in Leo is in the 4th house. And that comes from her being a mom. So her being a celebrity and her being on stage, it makes sense that that moon is in Leo. Her relationship with her mom is really huge. Also, too, again, this is someone who's very stylish and someone who's very bold and big on pride. A lot of drama, darling, is what you get. At home, she's probably really dramatic. I have a moon in Leo at home with me. And he is so dramatic at home. A lot of conflicts too. Anyway, but her moon in Leo trines her Mars, and that is conjunct Uranus. So her emotions work with her being different and pursuing relationships on a different way. Her emotional needs and her relationship style supports each other. And the balance of everyone look at me and her being independent really works for her. She understands how to work with that energy. So when she loves freely, she actually is better with her ego and her pride. Yeah, so she wants some passion in her relationships as well. And then lastly, this one is a little bit deep. Mars conjunction to Uranus and Libra is opposing her Chiron. I wonder what happened to her when she was 14, and then also too it's in the 12th house. That's really deep. And here the Chiron is a lot of healing and healing of the self. And I wonder if she had some shame in regards to something regarding herself, and it went against her daily habits or the way she processed information. Or maybe it was something that happened on a daily. The 12th house is hidden wounds, is your subconscious pain. It's things that's really deep down and is in that skeleton of a closet, almost invisible, even for her at times. Subconsciously, I think she feels alone. And she has to have some healing with solitude, because that Chiron in that 12th house deals with solitude and loneliness, and her being by herself, or maybe being the first person by herself. There's some deep healing that needs to be healed there, and her communicating this and saying this actually probably heals her. I'm gonna pull a card for Tracee Ellis Ross. Before reading her chart, I was like, this is disruptive behavior. How can you be so against the institution of marriage? But now that I'm reading her chart, this is someone who needs their freedom. This is someone who is focused on work. This is someone who has a routine and needs the harmony and balance in their life, but they also want depth and intensity and some psychological discussions. She cannot deal with some superficial anything. So I love that she is really strong and aware and have strong awareness of herself. At the same time, Chiron in that 12th house is someone who needs to focus on solitude and healing of the self. And we have the Emperor, and the Emperor is someone who is being the boss. And this is also the sign of Aries. This is really the focus of self. And she does have a lot of placements of relationships and aesthetics and art and creativity and fashion. I wonder if she ever thought of being a lawyer, but I think she has to have self-mastery. She has to be focused on herself, and she has to establish some clear boundaries, and she has to have some personal power. So now I'm going to be more open and listen to what Tracee Ellis Ross says. Now that I read her chart, I was against it at first, but the whole point of astrology is to be open-minded. That is very Aquarius energy. But having this Emperor is a very masculine energy, and she is living in a masculine power. So it makes sense that she needs someone who's a little bit more fluid, who is understanding that she is more masculine when it comes to the things that she wants in life. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you really like this reading and you're like, oh my gosh, this was really good, I learned some stuff, I have some free tools just for you. Just click the link in the bio and you shall receive. I will see you next time. Bye.